What is cloud computing? There's always a lot of talk about the cloud and how it can change how we do things, but what exactly is the cloud? As a basic definition, cloud computing is the delivery of digital services over the internet. That sounds like a very broad definition, right? Well, that's because it is. Cloud computing can cover everything from email to storage to web hosting, streaming, and a lot more. So let's look at some of these digital services and maybe we can see what's actually going on here. So what makes something like email a cloud computing service? Well, the messages that are being sent and received are not being stored on your computer, and instead are being stored on a server or a database somewhere else. Just that alone meets the definition of being a cloud service. Any type of work or activity that's outside of your physical computer is a type of cloud computing. So things like Gmail or Outlook are cloud-based email products that you can access from your computer or your phone, but all that work and the storage is being done in some data center somewhere else. Okay, so email is a cloud service, but email's been around for 40 years. It's not like that's what started the recent trend of cloud services. The real game changer was the advent of the more widespread public cloud providers. Now, to understand why this is important, we also need to understand the difference between a public cloud and a private cloud. So, back to email. Companies and organizations used to host email servers themselves and store it all on site. There would be some closet or room in the building where the email server that did all the processing and storage lives, and it was used exclusively by the owner for their own purposes. That exclusive use and ownership of the hardware makes it a private cloud. A public cloud provider is a company that sells the use of their hardware or services. So you could pay a company like Microsoft to host your email for you within their Office 365 service. So what are the practical differences between a public and a private cloud service? Well, in a private cloud, you retain all the control of the hardware and set it up in just the way you want. And having all that control sounds great, and sometimes it can be, but it comes with the upfront cost of having to buy a lot of expensive hardware, and you have to hire all these different IT people to set it up. And then there's the problem of what happens if something breaks. It would be your problem to fix it, and you have to hope your IT people figure it out. These problems are solved by using a public cloud service. Usually, public cloud services do not have an upfront cost and use a pay-as-you-go model. Your IT people just need to configure the settings for the service to work in your company, and there's no need to worry about setting up the physical hardware or worry about it breaking. The decision to buy or rent the hardware is kind of similar to buying or renting other things, like let's say ice skates. A lot of people like to go ice skating every now and again, but most of us are not going to drop hundreds of dollars for our own pair of skates when we really won't use it that much. Although if you love skating and do it often, then maybe it does make more sense for you to buy your own pair and be exactly how you want. The next major benefit of a public cloud service is the scalability. You can near instantly get access to more power if you need it and then stop using it when you don't, and you only pay for what you use. If you buy your own email server, it'll cost you the same amount to run it at maximum capacity, or if you don't use it at all, if you don't count electricity. If you rent it, then you're only really paying for what you use. The public cloud services are also accountable with something called a service level agreement, which is a contractual agreement to make sure that their service is available as often as possible. Some of the basic agreements guarantee 99.9% uptime, which more or less means that you'll be able to access it 99.9% of the time. Meaning over the course of a year, that's less than 9 hours of total downtime. This type of agreement alone can be enticing for people to want to use a cloud service, especially for a smaller company who might not have the IT staff on hand at all times. On top of that, some cloud services can offer the ability to recover after a major incident. If an office building floods and the servers are damaged, best case scenario, it'll take a few days to repair and recover the data. Worst case, Your fancy server racks are gone, and you lost all the data and capacity that they gave you, and that can be absolutely devastating. Using the cloud makes sure that your data and your services are hosted outside your office, so you can recover faster. And often cloud providers will use redundancies, making sure that they keep their services up by switching to other data centers if one goes down. So what makes the cloud such a popular talking point over the last several years? All these things could have been offered for a long time, and to some degree have been, but what makes cloud services more popular in the last decade? The answer lies in scale and capabilities. Companies like Microsoft and Amazon have been heavily investing into these services, and recently the capabilities have essentially been able to take over all the management of IT infrastructure. By being able to offer companies everything they could possibly want and then some, more and more companies are making the move to the cloud. This trend is what's behind a lot of Microsoft's growth in the last decade. Selling operating systems is a good business, but it's not really growing as much anymore, as the PC sales every year have been pretty stagnant. The real growth in the information technology sector is in cloud services, which have been growing in the double digits over the last several years. And you probably use a lot more cloud services than you realize. YouTube and other streaming services like Netflix are all cloud services. Backing up your phone's data with iCloud or using Google Docs, Discord, Gmail, Facebook, and so many more things are cloud-based. However, the bigger impact of the cloud are on the business services. Businesses can replace all their self-managed hardware with the more scalable and reliable cloud services, which more often than not improves their overall efficiency with less downtime, and they generally get better service all around. Being able to scale up and down at will and access any type of resource near instantly is a defining feature of public cloud services, and that makes it worth it to a lot of businesses. If you're interested in learning more about this topic or related topics, please like and subscribe, and let me know what videos you'd like me to cover in the comments section.